Hi there, and welcome to the Excel pack on pivot tables. Now, it's no exaggeration to say that if you look at data frequently and you're not using pivot tables, that this chapter will change your life, or at least your work life. Now, along with lookup functions, pivot tables are the feature that we found the most useful in Excel before Power Pivot and Power Query came along. Now, this is because they provide a very quick, customizable way of reviewing and summarizing large amounts of data in very little time, without having to write formulas. They're therefore very useful, or particularly useful, for those people that do analysis on a regular basis. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start off with defining what a pivot table is. A pivot table is basically a dynamic table that summarizes a large amount of data. The data can be summarized by any type of data that's included in the original dataset. The data can then be cut, rearranged and reviewed in different ways without having to write or rewrite a single formula. So let's see what this looks like in practice. I've opened our workbook on a set of sales data. Now, this sales data may look familiar as we've used it in various packs. However, in case you haven't seen the data before, it shows sales of 6 different types of products across a variety of countries, segments, partners and months. The data shows the total amount of units sold of each product as well as their manufacturing price, sales price, gross sales, discounts applied, net sales, cost of goods sold, and profit. It's also all neatly arranged into a format which is nice and easy to analyse. So, if I flick onto our Summary Data Tables tab, this shows a number of tables, all of which have been calculated from our sales data. The vast majority of these work off SUMIF and SUMIFS formulas, and then simple subtraction or division formulas. If, for example, I click into some of the cells in the top table, you can see in the formula bar how these have been calculated. I'll just scroll down the page and then click on some of the other values so that you can get a feel for some of the formulas. Now, overall there are 9 tables here which cover the following: total unit sales, gross sales, net sales, cost of goods sold, profit, by product and split between 2016 and 2017, as well as the actual and percentage variance between the 2 years. We've then got net sales by month, by product for 2016 and 2017, and the currency variance and percentage variance between those 2 years. Finally, we've got units sold by month by product for 2016 and 2017, and the currency variance and percentage variance between the 2 years. Writing the formula tables for all of these tables is not complex. All of the skills required are in the Excel Basics pack and the Aggregation pack. However, even with someone who knows what they're doing, they can take a while to write, even with copying and pasting formulas. To write and format all of these tables using named ranges took about half an hour. I've also not written any tables to sum sales by partner, for example, or by segment or by country. And in practice, in a real-life finance department, a lot of the analysis here is going to have been requested by more senior members of staff, who, once they've reviewed these tables, will start asking more questions and requesting different cuts of data. Now, this always happens because once people start seeing some of the answers to their questions, they start thinking more questions. And once management see the initial summary tables, they start to realise more and more what it is that they actually need and want. There's also so many different ways that this data could be cut that it would be very time consuming and inefficient to try and write summary tables for all of them in the anticipation that they may be requested. So, instead, on tab Pivot Tables, I present to you the pivot table. Now, I've included one simple pivot table to give a small example of what the pivot table can do. The purpose of this tab is to show that the pivot table is doing the same thing as the formula table beneath it, which has come from the Summary Data Tables tab. It has aggregated the total sum of all net sales in the dataset based on the year criteria, month criteria, and product criteria. Now, if we look at the table variance between formula table and pivot table, we can see that both tables have come to exactly the same result. So, why do I recommend that you use pivot tables if you can do the same thing through formulas? Simply, it will save you masses of time. So join me in the next lesson to find out more.